Hey guys, I'm back here again, and today I'm going to be talking about my top 25 favorite horror movies. Now, I was originally just going to be doing a top 10 favorite horror films, but I just have so many movies that I just absolutely love. It was really hard for me to narrow it down to just 10, so I thought I would do a top 25. This is going to be the first part of the video, and for this first part, the movies I'm going to be talking about in this video are actually not going to be in any particular order because, like I said, I love all these films so much that it's really hard for me to say, okay, well, I like this one a bit better than this one, or, because some of these movies I like the same as other ones, and some movies I do like better than other films. But, I thought it would be better if for this part I would just list off the first 11 horror films in this video, and they're not going to be in any particular order. However, the second part of this video, the movies I'm talking about in that part are going to be my definitive top 10 or top 11, actually, top 11 horror films. But for this first part, I'm just going to be talking about horror films. They're not going to be in any particular order in this part. And without further ado, let's get started. And the first film I'm talking about is some Lucio Fulci classic, and that is Zombie. I absolutely love this movie. There's so many great parts about it. Probably one of the most iconic scenes is, when the zombie fights the shark. I mean, whoever came up with that was, it was just a genius idea. Why not have, a zombie fighting a shark? It's kind of cheesy when you think about it, but it's also very, very cool. And of course, this movie is known for its amazing gore, and so many amazing death scenes in it, including, of course, the splinter and the eyeball scene. Just thinking about that, anything that involves eyes, I can't do. I hate having stuff in my eyes, especially even having eye drops. I hate putting eye drops in my eyes. That's actually one reason why I don't wear contacts, because I hate touching my eye. So that scene always gets to me, Like I said, amazing film, great gore, and of course the theme song is iconic as well. So Zombie, starting the story off. And now I'm going to talk about a George A. Romero classic, and out of his 3 original Living Dead films, I must say I love Night of the Living Dead. It's one of my all-time favorite, classic horror films. But if I had to pick any of the sequels, I think Dawn of the Dead does it for me. I love this entire film. I love the setting of it. It takes place in a mall. I always thought that if there ever was a zombie apocalypse, that would probably be the place that I would go. Because there's so many places for you to move around. It's a big place, and there's already there's stuff everywhere in store. I do love Day of the Dead as well. I like the underground setting, but for me, Dawn of the Dead is probably my favorite of the 2 George A. Romero sequels. If I was doing a top 30, I might have also talked about Night of the Living Dead, but if I was to say, I would say Night of the Living Dead is probably my favorite zombie film, and Dawn of the Dead is my favorite sequel, and then Zombie is after. But, I'm going to be going through these movies kind of fast because pretty much every movie I'm talking about are films that everyone has already seen. The next one is John Carpenter's classic, The Thing. And this movie, what can you say about it? It's got great atmosphere. John Carpenter is the master putting creepy atmosphere in his films, and this movie really captures that. Just the whole, sort of the idea of, being trapped, with ice and snow all around you. It gives you sort of a creepy feeling of you just being alone there with your friends, just sort of out in the middle of this place, and then having this creature that can pretty much transform itself or get into somebody else's body, and they can be anybody. That's always been a really crazy, just a creepy idea that it can take control of anyone. This movie has always been praised for its special effects, and I think it has some of the best special effects in any horror film. So John Carpenter's The Thing. It's an amazing film. The next one is a movie that I've heard a lot of people like, but some people are not huge fans of it, but it's the original Children of the Corn movie. And I think a lot of people don't like it because it doesn't have as much stuff as the book. I haven't read the book, so I really don't know, but I really do enjoy this movie. It's got more of a atmosphere than it does, deaths and killings. Of course, the opening scene has the coffee shop massacre scene at the beginning of it. But other than that, this movie, it's got good gore in that scene. But other than that, it's really mostly just the kids sort of being out in the cornfield. But I think this whole idea, it's really creepy, but it's also kind of realistic because, I don't want to get into like a religious story, but I can actually see children following a religion so much that it becomes controlling to them. And since children are young and they're, if you teach them something, then it's something that they'll remember. So the idea of somebody coming and telling the children to kill their parents, even though it's not it's not likely, but it does seem like something that could happen, because religion can be a controlling thing if it's done in the wrong way, is what I'm saying. This is the wrong type of religion, I must say. And Children of the Corn really captures that idea of, oh, your children could be listening to somebody and that person could cause them to do something evil. And, the Children of the Corn films really capture that. I also absolutely love Children of the Corn 2. It's one of my favorite horror sequels, and I think it's the best sequel in the series. I love the sequel as well. And like I said, if this was a longer list, I would probably put Children of the Corn 2 in there as well. I tried not to talk as much about sequels, but there are some sequels in here. Next one is a really cool vampire classic, The Lost Boys. Again, so many iconic scenes. Of course, you got Corey Feldman, being, one of the Frog Brothers, and, they're going out to try and fight vampires, and they're just kids, and this was one of the movies that really, that Corey Feldman is really known for, and of course Corey Haim in it, of course, rest in peace, playing sort of like the younger brother of the main character in the film, and, of course his character is really, there's a lot of really great characters in this. Every person in this movie, you really care about each character, and you really feel it. And of course, the vampire are, really cool in this one. But yeah, The Lost Boys. I know that, these movies got kind of hot topic-y, I guess, after a while, but they are classics, and I think that even after all the other horrible vampire movies that have come out recently, this is one movie that will be remembered, and it has been remembered for years, and it will continue to be remembered as this is definitely one of the best vampire horror films, I think. Another John Carpenter classic with amazing atmosphere, such a creepy atmosphere for this one, The Fog. So many amazing, scenes in this one. Of course, you have Adrienne Barbeau, who's she's like a radio DJ, so her voice, she has a very soothing voice in this one, and she's sort of like talking about what's going on with this crazy fog going on. You got Jamie Lee Curtis, coming back from, of course, Halloween, and just so many other films, and of course, yeah, and of course, you got Deborah Hill co-writing it, and John Carpenter, of course, directing it as well. Absolutely amazing film, one of his best, I think. And like I said, definitely very creepy atmosphere. Now, another one of the best vampire films is Fright Night. Absolutely love this movie as well. I think Chris Sanderson, he's a very slick, he's a very likable guy at the beginning of the film, but then after the movie goes on, of course, you figure out it's a vampire. I've always loved this movie, and I've always loved the the main kid in the movie, whose name I'm forgetting. William Ragsdale. I've always liked his character as well. This is a really kind of relatable character of it's a kid who thinks he's seen something and nobody believes him. Just like every other. Oh, he's not really a kid. He's in high school, but. Just, of course, the whole story of, Boy Who Cried Wolf, only the wolf is a vampire, and it's really happening. And this is, again, another one of the best vampire films of all time. I love everything about this movie. I also love, forgetting his name again, Roddy McDowall, as the TV, the TV horror host. I always liked his character in it as well. And, of course... You're so cool, Brewster! Alright, now is another one that everyone has already talked about. One of the greatest slashers of all time, Friday the 13th. You can't really have a top horror, list about this movie. I'm not going to talk a whole lot about this one, but yeah, again, great atmosphere, just great kills. This is definitely one of the top slasher films, and it's one that's always lived on. And of course, the I mean, just that is iconic as well. And so many great death scenes. When I first saw it, I thought it was when I first saw this movie, I saw it after Halloween, and I originally thought it was going to be like it, but it wasn't. I think it's it lives up on its own, and it's definitely one of the best. Like I said, one of the best slashers. And now, even though I said that I was trying not to talk a lot about sequels, I am including one sequel. It's a Friday 13th sequel, and it's probably my favorite. And it's the final chapter. I absolutely love this movie. Corey Feldman is in this one as well, and he's really into horror. He's really into making his own masks and stuff. And I just love the idea that his character is such an important part in the film. And of course, the ending, when he cuts all of his hair off, and he's the one that ends up killing Jason at the end. And this has always been one of my top favorite ones in the series. So the final chapter, I just had to include it, and I love the artwork for that. Just the knife with Jason's mask with the blood. They really tried to make this out to be the final chapter, but of course, as you know, in horror movies, the title, the final chapter, means nothing. They're always going to try to make another one. Now, this next one is more of a horror comedy, and this is one that a lot of people either love it or they hate it. This is I would describe it as a so bad it's good movie, Leprechaun. I just had to include this one. This movie is just so cheesy. Of course, it's a leprechaun going after killing people because they accidentally took one of his gold coins. Jennifer Aniston's in this, and I'm sure that this is one movie that she wishes she never did, but also you got the little kid Alex, who is kind of a smart mouth and stuff, and I love his line at the end, fuck you, Lucky Charms. If you know anything about the making of the movie, then you actually know why he says that. But yeah, Leprechaun, again, I know it's a so bad it's good type of film, but I love this movie, and it's such a fun one. I also love Leprechaun 2 as well. And the last one is one of the goriest movies of all time, just over-the-top, gory fun, Dead Alive. Yeah, come on, this movie is just so crazy. I absolutely love it. Like I said, one of the goriest, goriest movies I've ever seen. So it's so over-the-top that after a while it just becomes hilarious. Like, I remember watching this movie and just laughing about how gory it was, and it's definitely one of the best gross-out gore movies. Peter Jackson needs to come back and do another horror movie. Seriously, I like his other films. I like, King Kong and all that, and I love of how he's a director that can do something like this, which is like just a gross out, gory, movie, and then he can do some of the biggest movies, some of the biggest blockbuster films of all time. But I do think if he decided to come back and do another horror film, I think it would be really good. So, Dead Alive. And anyway, guys, that is the first 11, and I know I didn't talk about these movies a lot, but a lot of these movies are just films that everybody's already seen. But anyway, guys, thanks everybody for watching, and in my next part, I will talk about my top 11 favorite horror films. Thanks everybody for watching. Let me know down below what you guys think about these movies, and let me know what are your favorite horror films. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in a minute.